You've reached Monster 911, and I'm Lance Hightower. I've been taking cryptid emergency calls for over 5 years. If you have a cryptid emergency, please call our toll-free number 866-306-8085. I can help you. What's your emergency? Welcome back, folks, to Monster 911. This is Lance Hightower. I'll be your host once again, and I would like to welcome all of our new subscribers out there. We sincerely appreciate you. We have followers from all over the U.S., but also from dozens of other countries across the planet listening each week. So thank you all for tuning in each time we post a show for you guys. And don't forget, hit that subscribe button right now and share it with your friends. On a serious note, as you know, I'm always want to inform those that have seen something that they couldn't explain, something that they may have come face to face with, something that they've heard, or something that they saw across the road, or even something that they saw on their property. I really want you to inform them to call me. And the reason why I always place this invite out there, folks, is that, for instance, right now, let's just pick wherever you're at, your home state right now. And if it's night, that when you're listening to this show, someone, dozens and dozens of people in your state right now had their first encounter. Some of them are terrified, probably most of them. They're going to go through a roller coaster of emotions. They don't know who to talk to. They don't know who to reach out to. So this is why I put that invite out there. So if this is you, you're not alone. You're not crazy. Trust me, thousands and thousands of people have seen these creatures. But I can give you some answers immediately. I think I'm pretty practical, and I use a lot of common sense based on the knowledge that I've gained being in the field, seeing these creatures, going through the same emotions, as well as interviewing literally thousands of people. So you can call me 24/7, 7 days a week, and the call is toll-free at 1-866-306-8085. Again, that's 1-866-306-8085. And I'll keep any personal information confidential, and your encounter story will be taken serious, I promise. And remember, sharing is good medicine for the soul. And you guys are awesome. Thank you so much for the 911 t-shirt orders. I really appreciate you doing that. It really helps support the show. And as I said before, they're excellent quality. They're not cheesy. I promise. They're perfect for the Bigfooter or the field researcher in the family that loves the cryptid genre. And they are really cool shirts for the kids to wear. They love them. And so we also have the Monster 911 patches coming out here pretty soon. Everybody is into Bigfoot, so these patches are super cool to have, especially on backpacks. This is pretty cool for the backpack. So, and also remember, we're going to have, to go to the site, you go to www.monster911.com, and be sure also to check our social media links. They'll be listed below. And we're also on Spotify, the audio podcast site at Monster 911. And if you go to Spotify, we're going to keep adding more content the more people that go visit that. So we've got a little bit of shows there, but as we see more people going to that, we'll just keep adding more shows. So one more thing before we get to our next show here, please keep in mind, really, parents, that you may want to use parental discretion with these shows. Again, most of these encounter stories are honestly not for kids to hear. They sound like great campfire stories, but they are actually true encounters of creatures by everyday folks all across America. And you wouldn't want your child to hear these encounters. Trust me, they'll be sleeping in your bed for months. Trust me on this. Now, on to this show. This show is one of those encounter interviews that you just can't get out of your head for days after you do the interview. This next guest was pretty sharp to connect the dots fast. He was a pretty sharp guy when I was talking to him. He just instinctively knew something. He said that he knew something wasn't right with the pets and various livestock animals missing in his area where he lived. And he felt that he had something was going on, and either killing these animals or removing them. He didn't know, but he knew something. He thought, maybe I have a large predator cat. And he timed it out through the day when the dogs would be like this twilight bark, and he thought, okay, I know the time this predator is coming out because I can hear the dogs in the neighborhood. So he strategized. He thought, okay, I've got a big mountain lion in the area. So he planned a strategy with a buddy of his to locate and kill this predator animal. And he had a pretty good suspicion where this animal would be hiding. And he was correct until he came eye to eye with something that he did not expect.
I really don't know even how to begin, or where it began, or even how. But but it's in the southwest panhandle of Texas. It's plains. There's nothing out. There's nothing. I mean, it's just rolling high plains, and there's a tree every once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
But there's when you start paying attention to the geographical outlay of the land, there's all of a sudden there's draws and creeks, mature trees, and that just leaves, like jackrabbits and rabbits and the occasional bobcat and coyotes and mule deer, just those typical turkey. And so there's so that's all you see, you know. And it was in the winter of 2015, and my game roosters, my gamecocks were gone missing. They were just missing, and I I'm pretty fond of those birds. They're pretty, and they're expensive. And my cousin's animals, they were gone missing. Then we started finding the just the heads, like if like a crawfish when you break it and then you suck the juice out and the good
Right.
stuff,
Yeah.
and it was just hollow, just a hollow chicken head.
Wow.
And then
Strange.
later on, weeks later, we learned that the bodies of these animals were flung on top of like a 20 foot tall barn. Well, anyway, we go back to, I was working at a meat packing plant, working third shift, and this was from 9 p.m. to 7 a.m. in the morning. So the way I had my alarm clock set up was to get up and get everything ready and head to work. It was about a 35-minute drive from there.
Okay.
But I'd set my alarm clock and I'd get up and I would hear a pack of dogs. I mean, at that same time, and it was a lot of dogs. And like, I don't know if you've have tracking dogs or you hunt with dogs, you visualize where the dogs are barking at, and
I,
you more or less follow that trail, or you follow the dog bark. But I visualized these dogs to be at a local park in town, south of town, and I always visualized them there from where you could hear the barks coming from, and then they would disappear into the distance, and it was always at that spot. I thought it was strange because it was always at dusk. So I decided, with that going on, and with the animals and all that going on, I I randomly asked a question on Facebook. There's these pages that it's like a buy, sell, and trade garage sales, and it's open to the public. So I openly asked, has anybody in town seen or heard anything crazy or out of the normal, please do not comment on here, but feel free to private message me. So I I started getting private messages from people. There was there was a couple that stayed at an apartment complex south of town and around that general area of where that park is. There's a park, and then there's a golf course. Well, this couple was on the second floor balcony, and they said they witnessed the dog stand up on
What?
on two on two legs, and it was harassing a pack of dogs.
Whoa.
That's that's what they seen. Like it was playing hide and seek, or running around the car, and that was harassing them.
Wow.
And then there was a there was a there was another lady. She was getting eggs in the morning for breakfast, and she stumbled upon a she described it as a lion with wings, and that she was it was a regular day for her, and she like they both caught each other off guard, like like they he it turned around, sort of looked, and they looked at each other, and it went, and she said that it flew it just flew away, and it leaped over the hen house.
Wow.
And that was another private message that I got. And then I had another private message, and this was from a lady. She was driving an F-250 with a cattle guard, and this general area, there's lots of feed yards, cattle. They move cattle. There's dairies, dairy farm. There's cattle. There's more cattle than people. Well, this lady claims she ran over a monkey, and she was so shaken that she called her husband. Her husband's like, don't do anything, just stay put. I'll be there here shortly. We'll figure it out.
Right.
And this lady was convinced, if I put my truck in reverse and and go back a few yards, there's gonna be a dead monkey on the road. She was convinced. Well, they didn't find anything. They found just like blood and hair on the cattle guard, on the bumper, heavy duty bumper, and that's it.
Wow.
And then of course you go around, and it just dawned on me, like, hey, this is exactly the same path that I visualized the dogs going. And like if something were to wake up
Mm-hmm.
at sundown,
Mm-hmm.
and it take that path, that it'd go southwest of town, and then it would go back up north towards, then come back, and just around town, like a circle around town. And I began to think, well, this is this is a large black cat that's snacking on these baby calves that are unmarked, and it's going to the feed yards, dairies, and it's eating good, and then it's going to hide in this place, this park. This particular park has a little trail beside that, and then it has like caliche rocks, and then it
Mm-hmm.
has little gorges and gullies that where the water washes out, and it runs down into the creek, so it's real thick, and there's caves. And then I'm thinking the only animal that it's a predator that could cover it's that much terrain in a night. It's a good 30 miles, 30, 45 miles. It has to be a cat. So I'm convinced, I'm gonna harvest a cat. I don't think it'll be an issue with the game warden, anything. So a friend of mine and myself, we armed ourselves. We more or less we tracked it for about 2 weeks, and we came to the conclusion that, hey, this cat, it's gonna be there. That's where it is. And you continue to hear the pack of dogs like clockwork. So we both have AK-47s, open sights, and we
Mm-hmm.
have drums and 75 round magazines, and we have Glock 17s, and they also come with a drum. We were packing heavy, and we had walkie talkies, and we talked about it. It's like Sensei, I'll call him Sensei. I told Sensei, I mean, I added that we were with our children. Sensei was with his uh, with his wife and his little girl, and I had my son, and they went on top of the goalie to where I visualize these dogs always, and we purposely went like a couple hours before the sun set because I thought, this animal is gonna be it's gonna that's where it sleeps, and I thought this animal, sleeps there, and it takes the river bottom, the creek bottom, because that's the most cover it has, and it follows it out of town. Once it's out of town, it starts snacking on those cattle without being seen. So we had walkie talkies. I told Sensei, when you're in position, let me know. When I'm in position, I'll let you know. And I positioned myself where that goalie was. The water would run down into the creek, and that's where I always visualized it. And I told Sensei, go ahead and start making as much noise as you can, and throw boulders, into it's like a little canyon, little caves, and the vegetation is thick. And if I was an animal of that sort, that's where I would hide. That's what I would go and take a nap and stuff. As soon as he started doing that, the vegetation, it was thick, and it's in November, so everything's dry, and the the brush started to move, and I seen it come in my direction, and I started to visualize at what position this big cat was gonna be, and I was visualizing where I was gonna be pointing so I could get a squeeze off on the vitals, and and this this creature, it had a like a black, just jet silky black, the fur, and it looked like a very well groomed coat, shiny black, pretty. But it was moving so stealthy, it almost like it was slithering like a snake. But it was big. It was big, like if you like a door where you walk in a door to a house or a room or anything.
Yes.
Or if you lay that door down, it was that long.
Whoa.
but it was moving in such a way that, I mean, it was tall. It was like chest tall,
Oh, it
but it
was
was moving.
so it was on all fours that you could tell.
Well, it was on all fours that I could tell, but it was moving like so stealthy and smooth that it was slithering like a snake. Because with so much with the vegetation being so dense, I could only spot them, not a full body, and I could only spot them here and there. But when there was going to be a spot where I had a clear shot at this at this creature, and there was going to be an opening. That was going to be the moment of, like, that was when I was going to harvest my cat. But at 7 yards, this was about the opening was at 7 yards. It was like, I don't know, like,
7 yards from you?
it was 7 yards. Like,
Oh my
it went.
gosh.
It wasn't far. It wasn't far at all.
Golly.
And I was pointing at right in between the eyes. And when it came to the clearing, it's sort of like we just stared at each other, like I couldn't properly identify this creature. I couldn't. And you take ethics classes for hunting, and you have to make a clean shot, and you properly identify your target, and I was in my mind, and I was prepared to see a big black cat.
Right.
And it just it to me it felt like like it was a person, like it was a dude in a in an animal body. Like he just had so much intelligence in his eyes.
So he was staring right at your eyes.
We just looked at each other, and we looked at each other, but I wasn't afraid. I didn't get spooked or startled or scared. I was just like, well, what is this?
Yeah, right.
But it was at eye level with me.
On all fours, it was eye level with you?
Yeah, it was at eye level with me, and the way the brush was,
Yeah.
I don't know if it was standing up completely or it was sort of crouched down, and it had his how a dog sits down and it puts his paws up front,
Yes, yes.
and it sort of sits on his butt.
Right.
Like I didn't dare to look and check it out and be curious. I was like, I was just locked eyes with this creature, and it had big, like tennis ball eyes, like big, and they were captivating, like bright yellow honey, pretty, pretty eyes. Like like I, we just stared at each other, and I didn't shoot it because it didn't snarl or show its teeth, or it just looked at me like you caught me, like, my bad,
Right.
and I put my weapon down, and I walked away, and it walked away, and I didn't look back. I just didn't shoot it. I did it. I felt like if I would have done so, I don't think I would have been able my conscience wouldn't have. I started thinking like afterwards, like what, like man, what was this? Like, what about if I would have shot it and it would have turned into a person? It was one of those people that turn into animals. I started thinking all kinds of stuff, but I just for a bit, and I just I didn't shoot it, and it was there. It was close. It was right there, like it knew what what that tool was used for that I had in my hand in it, and it knew that it all depended on a finger, really.
Right.
Like it knew it knew. After that, I radioed Sensei like, man, I'm going back up, and I told him like, man, we I don't know what this was, man. And I'm pretty. I mean, I know about animals. I'm pretty aware of like moose, elk, and bison, and big American game. That roams around, but I wasn't expecting I wasn't prepared to for what I seen.
So when you dropped your gun, now when you say that, you obviously still
I
had a
I
hold of,
I didn't draw my gun. I just
lowered it,
lowered it.
lowered it.
Yeah, I lowered it. Like I had my iron sights were right in between the eyes, like, and then I just lowered it because it was looking at me like, how I would probably like and it sounds funny, but like the Shrek, the Puss in Boots,
Yes.
like like that, like
Oh, like the big sad eyes, kind of like.
yeah, like man, you got like it was like ashamed of itself, like man, you caught me, man,
Really?
and it didn't do it didn't come at me. I didn't feel like I needed to. It was definitely a fight or flight situation, and I definitely none of us projected that let's end it right here. One of us was gonna go, and we both made our minds. Ain't none of us gonna die today. We just we just looked at each other.
Wow. So it's 7 yards away. How tall of a gentleman are you?
I'm 5'9". I'm not tall and by no means, but I know there's nothing that tall anywhere. Like,
No, no. That's what I was trying to get at for the.
yeah, I know that.
Wow.
I
Holy
know there's
cow.
nothing. That's why it caught me off guard because if it would have been a cat, this cat would have needed to have like a like a like an old tree that
Mm.
broke,
Mm-hmm.
and it would have had needed to stand up and put his front paws up and to look at me.
Right.
But even a cat, it wasn't gonna have that much knowledge to, I'm gonna just peek up and look at you in the eyes.
Well, cats don't. That's not a
Yeah,
normal reaction or an instinct.
yeah. It would have
They're
a cat
gonna.
would have booked it.
Yeah, I was
That's
gonna
why I was,
say they bolt.
that's
That.
what I was, that's why I was ready. Because if it's a cat, I'm gonna have a split second to find its vitals and get a real good shot. If I'm quiet, it's not gonna know, and I'm gonna just get one good shot. And when it made that clearing, like it just we he bumped into me, and I was there. He wasn't expecting to see me. He wasn't expecting us to bump to an AK-47 to his head.
Well, no one had taken any time to track him, and this had been going on so long. He had a routine down pat.
And it would have been like it was. He was. It was forced out of its bed. Like, hey man, what? Stop.
Mm.
That's how. It wasn't at the time that he normally woke.
And this was what
It,
time again, roughly?
this was this was it was in November. It was November 14th to 2014, and so it's winter time. The sun goes down at around like from it goes down early. So it was probably about 5:30 or 6:45, 7. It was before the sun went down because we made it we made it like clear, like, hey, we have to be there before the sun goes down because it won't be there if we show up anytime after. And we have to show up before those dogs bark at
Mm-hmm.
this time. So we jumped it out of bed. Like it was chilling still. And we jumped it out of bed.
Man, man. Well, this is so rare that, and right now, from what you're telling me, I'm calling this creature what we collectively call a dogman creature.
Exactly. I've and I wasn't aware of this like at all. I did Dogman wasn't even like. But the more like, hey, man, it was a dog man, you know, and
Mm-hmm.
and I and Sensei, we just became like so interested in the matter that you know you don't just openly talk about it and tell people but Sensei started like, hey, this is what happened. Well, his friend works at a a feed yard, and there's there's the night watchman position that's always open. There's nobody that stays there for nobody stays longer than 2 weeks.
Hmm.
So Sensei's like, since his friend laced him up, like, look, there's a wolf out there, man. And he's like, man, and him and I, we pack heavy. So he went. I'm gonna go apply for the job, like I'm gonna go see what's up.
Right.
So he's confident in his arms, 4570 lever action Marlin,
Good
uh,
gun.
and then a python, a Colt python,
Mm.
big, he's packing heavy.
Mm-hmm.
But then plus he gets there, and they issue him the feed yard issues him a gun. He was going in there like sort of underneath the table, like, I'm gonna sneak in and I'm gonna be packing some heat. But
Right.
these dudes, they hand them over a 30-30, and there you go, man. Just you know. So this dude goes in there and he's like 2-3 days, like, man, it's all right, but I feel I'm being watched. I feel I'm being looked at. Like the third, fourth day, and and this okay, it's called the feed yard,
Okay.
and like many or most or all, they have a carcass count, and they call like the byproduct people that collects the carcasses for whatever purposes. and they make an inventory of it, and they call these people that pick up the carcasses, and like, okay, I have like 30 carcasses. Okay, we'll be there. Well, these people that pick up the carcasses, they're like, hey, you're off on your numbers. You called in so many, and there's way less than what you claim to have had. So there's something nibbling at this pile of dead cattle.
Hmm.
Um, he when he quit, he was in his pickup, the the work issue pickup, and he said he had his coffee on a cup holder inside the truck. It's like a late '80s model Ford single bed pickup, and he has a handful of 30-30 rounds in beside his coffee. So on the other end, he has the fresh box of rounds. You know how they come in a box. He has he has a box of those, and a box of the Python rounds. Well, since it gets out to take a piss, and he faces the other way, he said when he come back into the truck that he went to drink his coffee, and he noticed the box the box of rounds was open and tampered with,
Oh my gosh.
like like if like if something just poured them out. And he went got off around the truck, and on the passenger side they was dumped out, like those rounds were on the ground.
Whoa.
you know Something had thumbs and all that. The
Well, yeah, something had to grasp it. And I think what's even more startling is that it possibly knew what those were.
Yeah, exactly. Like it wasn't like it could have got the coffee or anything else, but it let him know, like, hey, I'm watching you. I know what you're trying to do, or whatever. But that was that same night. He he's like, man, I gotta get to where there's light. Well, he was going. They have a shop. They have a big barn shop where it's a 30 by 60 barn with one of those sliding doors where you could put like a tractor trailer and do diesel mechanic work on it and stuff, get
Mm-hmm.
out of the cold. Well, he's like, man, I swear I left the door. I swear I left it closed. Well, this was also the break room for the cowboys and the people that do the processing of the cattle and the vet and stuff like that. And their lunch was always missing. They were always missing lunch. And inside there's a cage, a mesh, like chain link fence where it holds the tools. And you know how you have that wall where you hang tools and you paint over it.
Oh, yeah.
So when there's a tool missing, it's like it sticks out like a sore thumb. Like, hey, look, man, you got some tools missing.
Right.
Well, he went in there. He's sort of like sweeping the area with the light, and his sensei's like, man, there was something walking on top of the shop up top, and it was heavy, real heavy. And he's like, man, and then I realized I wasn't armed. Everything was left inside the truck. I didn't carry anything inside the shop. So he locked himself in the tool cage until the morning people started trickling in, and that was his last day there.
Whoa.
He never went back.
Does he did he ever see anything as far as eyes or see a silhouette of anything? I mean, it's scary enough what he heard and what he saw, But
I
did he?
think I think he was he I think he said he I remember him saying that there was an owl like roosting in the opening of the door,
Mm-hmm.
and it just kept looking at him, and that's what made him feel uncomfortable. But but I was like, how's the outlay of the building like that? There's nothing if there's nothing for it to like stand and roost on, it's not gonna sit there because
Right.
an owl, a barn owl, is gonna fly out or in or out. It's not just gonna sit around and float. And I asked him, you think it'll be a possibility that this thing was laying on his stomach and then just looking, he's laying on his stomach and just popping his head in the doorway like upside down,
Yeah, that's
and then just
possible. That's
and
very
then
possible.
and then just scoping him. But he had the light shining from the outside and it was making just like a shadow. He's like, man, I just know that I felt sick and scared. So scared that he locked himself in. He locked himself in the
In the tool crib.
yeah. He's like, I ain't leaving from here. He locked himself in there.
So you said that somebody was also having their lunch stolen
Yeah, everybody was having
out of their
their lunch
cars
taken.
or the building.
No, that shop was like a break room as well. Had a
Oh,
had a microwave, a little fridge, and a little picnic table in there.
wow.
But and I gave him the idea. Well, just put a trail camera, you
Yeah.
know. But he never went back.
Amazing. Amazing. So when you said that when you guys split up and you had walkie talkies and you were in this park, did you have a family member with you?
I did it because I was gonna be doing the shooting, and I didn't know. I had the general idea of what direction it was gonna be coming from, but I didn't know after I took a shot where
Okay.
it was gonna run to.
Gotcha.
So so I told everybody, hey, you go you go on top the goalie up there to where there's no way possible that I could lose track of any round.
Right. Exactly.
So I had him make noise, and then the little girl, little boy, no noise, talking
Mm-hmm.
and loud, and it was just a ruckus.
Right. Right. Exactly.
And so I didn't have anybody with me because I was going to be doing the shooting.
Okay.
And from anything that if from experience, anything that when it gets hit, it's game on. It could have ran back to them. It just I wasn't gonna know. It wasn't to me. It wasn't a good idea to have anybody.
Right. No, no,
And
that's right. That's right. And unless you have a team with you that knows what they're doing and knows where that muzzle is, of course. This is such a rare opportunity to speak with someone that was literally face to face 7 yards away with this creature, a dog. I've never heard anyone this close. There's so many things I want to say, and there's so many things I want to ask. It just when you talk about the shiny coat, that reminds me of not too far out of Tulsa. There's a town that my buddy lives outside of. He kind of lives off the grid, and
right,
his wife said she saw something with a black shiny coat. In fact, that's what caught her eye as she was driving down their dirt road leaving their home. And it was a
right.
shiny black coat. And she just says it looked well groomed, exactly the same words you used.
Yeah, this thing looked like it come out of like a beauty salon. Like it was pretty. I can't. There's not anything. any other word that I could.
It didn't look mangy. It didn't look all
No,
scraggly.
no, no, no,
It
no,
looked
no.
like it came out of a dog grooming service.
Yeah, it looked like it was squared away. Like it looked pretty. It was a nice looking animal. It was a pretty looking, a very well groomed animal creature.
When this was in front of you, and you've already given how big that you guys were looking eye to eye, which is incredible. I'm 5'9" too, and even at 5'9", something looking at you on all fours, that's big. That's dang big. Um, in your best guesstimation, what do you think this thing roughly weighed? Just
Oh, oh man, it had to easily be 275 plus, easy. Because the eyeballs were like the size of a tennis ball.
really,
They
holy
they were
cow!
they were big. They were huge. They were big, and you see a horse and or a cow, and their eyes are big,
But the eyes were bigger on this one.
but these eyes were like they were big.
Would you say that the overall morphology or the overall look of this creature was more canine? It was more wolf-like.
Yeah, yeah. There's nothing. It was like a dog. It was like a person. It was it was a dog man. I've been after 2014, and I just it didn't cross my mind no more. It's just this animal that I don't know what it was. I'm not gonna lose sleep over it. It didn't harm me.
Right.
I didn't feel the need to shoot it. It wasn't aggressive or nothing. And I think it got the point. Hey, you need to just not come over here, man.